Today, we will talk about 10 self concepts that will actually make the changes for you in your life. You probably have done it. You probably have been in these states of, I'm making this change, I'm making this movement, I see something happening in my life, I'm feeling the shift. And at the same time, you also have these days where you are bouncing back. This might be kind of the balance that we have with life, but this might also be because we are missing some part. And that part might actually be the self concept. What is it that you're thinking about yourself? So, when I change my self concept, I am so much more in a position where I can prime my energy, where I know how to easily bounce back when something just I've been feeling off, or those days where I'm moody, but it's also making a big change and difference for myself in my life. So, in this season of difference and in this series where we started the first video last week, I will link it down below. We're talking about making these small changes, tweak in your everyday life that will actually make a big change. And today, of course, we're going to talk about these self concepts. So I think that we are going to get into it like just straight directly. So, the first self concept that we will talk about is I used to have the self concepts of that relationships are complicated. And I turned them into that relationships can actually be really simple. So you probably have it yourself, when you've been talking with your girls and boys or whatever, and you're just like, why is relationships so, complicated? Why is it always so complicated when you have a certain type of conflict? That usually is an indication for that is not a relationship that you should be in from the beginning. So that is usually just a guidance for you to know that this is not the direction that you should take. Telling yourself and telling others or in conversations that relationships are complicated makes you continue to feed into that story that is complicated. It's hard, it's difficult, it's such an effort. If you're single right now, or if you do feel that you're really struggling in your relationship, think through if you and at some point have these thoughts, have similar thoughts, or have said or are saying to your friends or whatever that, oh, why does it need to be this hard? Why is this so difficult? Oh, shouldn't it just be so easy? All of that. Yeah, it should. It can actually be really easy. And when I changed my self-concept to that relationships are really simple, actually, I noticed also how I start to feed into and find people that our relationships, they were just that simple. I have a very simple relationship with my partner, and it's because I chose to find a partner where it's simple with. Okay, so the next concept and the self concept number 2 is that I used to tell myself that I'm too sensitive. And empaths out there, sensitive beings, those who feel a lot, all of us, we have this tendency of telling ourselves that because usually we were also told when little or growing up that we were not supposed to show our emotions that strongly, or we were a little bit too sensitive. We got afraid of something, or we got like sad about something a little bit too much. And then we're growing up, and then we're coming into all these kind of environments at work and all of that, and that we do not feel that we are allowed to express our emotions because that's not the environment for you to do so. There is so much stigma around and so much like misinterpretations actually in regards to showing your emotions according to me and how you show your emotions. But that didn't help me. That didn't help me at all. It was just that I was repressing more and asking myself over and over, what's wrong with me? Why am I this sensitive? Why am I so sensitive? And instead really understanding that that is my superpower. So I really turned into that my sensibility is my superpower, and I'm going to make the most out of it. Today, I feel very strong, and I really feel that that is a skill of mine. It's really my superpower. I have the ability to really feel things in the room, feel the energy, understand things beyond just like daily communication, right? I love that I actually do feel a lot when it comes to reading a book, or when I'm in a moment with a friend or in a conversation. I feel so much, and I pick up on those small little details that not all do. So this is truly my superpower. I started to really focusing on and see where and in what situations is this really my superpower, and where is it that I feel that for myself it also gets like too much in a way, because I'm letting the emotions overrun me. But it's not anything about me being too sensitive. Like, what is that? It's like I have an extra antenna for something that is a superpower. It's a gift. So if you do feel that you have this tendency of telling yourself that you're too sensitive, it's just because you haven't really yet maybe learned how you can use that for your superpower and really see that it is your superpower and making the most out of it. How can you make the most out of it? The next and the third self-concept. Let me know what you think about this, by the way. Give me comments about this and which self-concept that you're going to definitely start with. But the third self-concept is, why can't I just be happy? This was something that I told myself over and over. Why can't I just be happy? And this is putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and it's also, once again, repressing your emotions. Dissatisfaction is really a guidance for you here. So I started, instead of telling myself that dissatisfaction is the best guidance to know what to shift around in life. It really tells you that something here isn't aligned, something here doesn't feel as, you don't feel as your highest self here, or something here is not just like right for you and your path, or in this moment where you are at right now. So instead of blaming yourself, why can I just be happy? You are actually taking the focus away of the real lesson and the real blessing in that situation, so to say. That, okay, this is a guidance actually. What is it it's trying to tell me and show me? So through that and through changing that self-concept, I also started to really see what I needed to make for changes in my life. And I also started to really go after those changes, I would say. The fourth one is, I feel drained most of my days and people drain me. And this was something that was a little bit related to, feeling too sensitive or taking in other people's energies. So how can we shift this? What can we say instead? My vibration is high, so those who do not resonate will naturally fall away. I don't need to see if that, this person, I cannot be in that person's company, and I don't want to talk with that person, or I can't listen to that conversation. Or I was very much like that in the beginning, especially on in my spiritual awakening. That is very common. So if you're recently have been having one or in one right now, that might be common for you. That is usually like a phase, what I've seen for many people. And the sooner that we can understand that, if I'm just focusing actually on my vibe, none of this is a problem for me. Actually, it isn't, because it is not two different energies can't resonate with each other. They will kind of not bump in each other in one way or another. This has been a game changer for me, really. I don't need to pay attention to what other people do or other people's energies or how they behave. I am not that drained at all in the way that I used to be about other people around me. I don't pick up on that energy any longer. I'm just focusing on my energy, so I don't need to pick up on that energy. That creates can we say, a protective field by itself. Okay. So the fifth one is, I always face obstacles. When will it ever stop, or when will it ever be easier? So this was me coming from a state of hopelessness instead of a state of power. We can talk about that in another time. How do we go away from states of hopelessness into states of power instead? But I noticed that I had a lot of these kind of states where I actually reacted and responded from a place of that I'm weak, or this doesn't work for me, or why does this happen to me, over and over again. And unfortunately, if you feel that is the case, actually you can really change that, because you can really change your reality. Changing your vibe changes everything. It changes your thoughts, it changes how you behave, how you act, all of that. So you can really change your own reality. I've seen it for myself over and over and over. I've seen it for others over and over and over. So with this said, instead I was like, okay, what is bad and what is good actually? I am actually the only one here who make a situation mean something. Two persons can have two very different experiences about the same situation because their perspectives, their self-concepts, what they think about the situation, what they think about themselves can be very different. So they create two different realities. And that's the case for you as well. So if you want to begin your change, your season of different, this is really the way to go. This is really the way to go, to start to see that what is I actually judging as bad and as good. And can I play around with that thought a little bit and see that, this as I perceive as something negative and something bad, can it actually be something that is for my favor? Can it actually be something that it's a situation that actually is here to be a blessing for me in one way or another? And when we start to play with that thought a little bit, we start to understand that we can actually make a shift in our lives with how we see a certain situation, and we can have a very different experience from that as well. So of course, understand we're humans. We will continue to see that duality, I believe, a long time as humans, so to say. But we can really make a big change in making this shift in what am I judging as bad and what am I judging as good. What situations can I actually see as something neutral, or what situations can I actually see that this is something that is really helpful for me? And I don't need to make it mean so much that someone says something special to me. I don't need to attach to a certain situation because it doesn't seem to look good for my dreams or look good for what I am manifesting at this moment. If I don't attach any meaning to it, what will happen then? Okay, so number 6 is that I feel stuck and as if I'm always need to start over. Wow, that lands for some of you. I do feel that lands for some of you. So I changed this self-concept into change my energy to change my life. And don't we always start over, by the way? Like, isn't life in one way or another always a constant change? 1 second is never the same as the next one. It can be very similar ones. It can look very similar. You can really feel like it's very the same, but it isn't. It is a new moment. So instead of focusing on, I feel stuck, I'm here again. It has helped me so much to understand that when I change my energy, I change my reality. So whenever time I feel stuck, I'm just like, okay, I know it's movement. There's something in my energy. There is something that needs shifting. And I know that when I do make that shift, it shifts instantly. And if I do that over and over of things that feels a little bit more heavier on me, or feels is a little bit more difficult, to pull away from that kind of situation or that kind of environment, or how it looks like at that moment, if I do it over and over, that shift will be very significant. Here's where we're talking about that difference and when changes really compounds, right? The 7th is a juicy one, and I think that I think many of you will understand what I mean on this one. So why does it seem like everyone else? This is such a common self-concept. Why does it seem like everyone else seem to have a partner? Why does it seem like everyone else have an easy life and not me? Why does it seem like everyone else have so many friends and I don't? Why does it seem like everyone else just make so much success in their life and have their jobs that they want and have their homes that they want, but I don't? Why does it seem like everyone else? This is a really it's not a helpful self-concept, to say at least. We're just comparing, we're just feeling much worse about our situation. It makes us feel behind, and it's not fair. It's not fair to anyone. So instead, I really turn that into, what's my advantage to shift this situation around? What is my advantage? What is my unique advantage? So, for instance, in many situations, I know that my unique advantage is my connection to my intuition, my knowing, my inner knowing. That is a very strong skill I have, but also my connection to my spirituality and to my faith. My connection into feeling, foreseeing things. That is a skill of mine. So someone might be very logical, that is your fair advantage. Someone else is very joyous, that is their fair advantage. Like, instead of comparing with others, what others might have or have not is not your deal anyways. It's not your life. Why do you even look at that? So we all do have this fair advantage, right? We all have in life, and it makes life so much more happier. It makes life so much more fun, and it makes life so much more easier, and it feels actually very relieving, very relaxing to just feel like, okay, you know what, I can just play on my skills, and I can really turn this situation around by saying that, how can I make the most of this situation with what I've got? That is abundance. Okay, so the eighth one is nothing ever lasts. This was a big one for me. Oh, I feel it. I feel it in my stomach. I feel the nostalgia in my stomach right now. Nothing ever lasts. I had this self-concept for a very long time, being conditioned that way, that nothing ever lasts. Not relationships, not a good moment. It never lasts. And that was not helpful at all. I changed that into, instead, it only gets better and better. And I've seen it for year and year and year, day in, day out, month in and month out. It is only getting better and better. I was so done with feeling the stress of nothing ever lasts. You know, that kind of disbelief of that I will not have a good life in that way. Understand what I mean? Like, when you say that nothing ever lasts, it's like this, it comes from this state of, I just have this for a very short amount of time, or I'm not that lucky. But instead of really seeing that, well, it's just getting better and better. Everything is just getting better and better. And the more that I practice that self-concept, I remember I needed to practice that for a longer while, I started to see that. I really started to see that change. 9. I am too up, damaged, broken. I have too much in my baggage. Too much had happened to me. I'm too weird. I'm too messy. No, that is not helpful at all. Instead, I changed that to, there's nothing to fix. I am whole, and yet I'm allowing myself to have desire. There's nothing to fix about me, but I'm also a human who has desires, and I desire more in life. I desire to make changes in life. I desire to be a higher version of myself than I am today. But the one I am today, she is good enough. She is not needing to be fixed. Not at all. You release a lot of stress also from your body when you don't carry that self-concept any longer. Okay, so the 10th and last self-concept is, I never experienced this before, how can I? And this self-concept, it doesn't really feel that it can be so heavy on you, right? But it's creating, one way or another, a feeling of that, you know, I haven't experienced this, so how is it possible? We are still in this process of doubt. So there were a lot of things that I haven't experienced, and there are a lot of things that I haven't experienced yet in my life. There were certain ways of just feeling pure bliss that I hadn't experienced, how, you know, simple and easy relationships could be. There were a lot of things that I didn't have a template for. And when you don't have a template, sometimes you're a little bit like, how is this possible? Like, how can I ever... I remember before I met my partner, I was like, how can I ever understand what a really good conversation with a partner is? Like, when you have just such a good dynamic, and when you're just like understanding each other so deep and on such a deep level. How can I know, because I haven't been in that? How can I ever like understand or even get myself into the energy of a partner who you don't need to fight in that way? You can actually just like talk as normal people and have a good time together. Actually, it can be more dominant in your relationship that you're just having a really good time and you're having so much love and so much bliss together. That is actually possible. Like, how is that possible? You know, since I didn't have that kind of template and I didn't have those role models as well, it was a little bit difficult for me to start to understand, how can I get into that energy? How can I, you know, start to think those thoughts as if I'm having a partner and a relationship who is like that? That has been with other things as well in my life, right? So instead, I actually changed it into, if it's for my highest good, give me this and better than ever imagined. Because I know that I was limited in certain ways, right? I know that me today, I am limited. I really do have that belief that the part of me now is limited. And the next part is maybe a little bit less limited in one way, right? But we will always almost have limiting beliefs as long as we are humans. You open up your mind to see different things that you haven't yet seen before. Because since you are not really sure how that a really, really good relationship, that one that you can't even imagine, since you're not really sure about that, or whatever it is, a new home, or being the best version of yourself, or just having a really fun time, or having the best lifestyle in your life, right? Whatever it is, since you can't really picture yourself that, it's also much easier when you command the mind to say that I'm better than ever imagined, because it will start to look for clues that you haven't looked for before. And you might not understand why you look for those clues. You might start to look for a little bit other guys, date other guys and girls that you haven't dated before, and you're a little bit like, what am I doing this for? I don't know, but okay, let's go for this. That is change happening. That is your subconscious looking for and better than ever imagined. So that self-concept, I kept it for last, but I think it is such a good self-concept. It's like 10 of 10. Maybe that's why I put it in last. And that can really 10x you as well. This, every single time that I'd really put it into like, okay, now I'm getting into all the vibes of and better than ever imagine, I always takes 10x my life. So these are the self concepts that you can take today and make changes in your life, really make real changes in your life. And I hope really that this sparked the inspiration for you to also, play around with it a little bit. Is there something that really felt like, oh, oof, yes, I also want this self concept. I also feel that I want to get into this power. Or is there something that you're just like, yeah, and I also got this idea, or and better than I ever imagined, than we have been talking about today, right? Let me know in the comments, and we will talk with each other next time in the next video. And if you're curious about what I'm doing, or else if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me, or if you want the self-devoted playbook to getting really intimate with yourself, then I will leave all the information for that in the description down below or something like that. And I see you next time. Keep on listening to your Within Talks.